Hell freaking yeah, boys. The New York Rangers fire David Quinn. And before anyone in the comments decides to be an asshole and decides to be like, oh, you're celebrating a guy losing his job, spare me that bullshit. He's still under contract with the Rangers, technically. He's still going to get paid by them for the remainder of his deal. And also, he's going to be fine. He's going to get an assistant coaching job somewhere, maybe even a head coaching job somewhere. Spare me that bullshit. He's gone. And the New York Rangers, this is huge moment. But not only did they fire Quinn, they clean house. They fired Greg Brown, David Oliver, Jacques Martin. Some of those guys I agree with getting rid of. Jacques Martin, a little more on the questionable side with it because of how much better the defense became. I mean, you had Fox in the Norris conversation. You had Lindgren improve. You had Trouba. He was a way better defenseman this year than he was in years prior. I thought Miller had a pretty good year. He was a little bit rough down the stretch, down the end of the season here. Can't lie about that. But even then, Brendan Smith, I thought, was way better than he was under Lindy Ruff. I almost forgot that asshole's name for a second. Blast from the past, I guess, now. And overall, I thought the defense was not terrible, so I am a little more questionable about that. But finally, David Quinn is gone, and I am just so pumped about it because you guys know how big of a David Quinn hater I was throughout the season if you watch my reaction videos, and most of you guys agreed with me. And if anyone didn't, I'm going to be explaining my reasoning for not liking David Quinn. I respect anyone's opinion if they were a Quinn supporter and if they thought that Quinn was the right guy for the job and the right guy moving forward. But personally, I just didn't see it that way. I haven't seen it that way, and I never have got where anyone is coming from when they say David Quinn, and also the whole thing about David Quinn being a player's coach, even though the reason he got fired, there was a report, I forgot exactly who it was from, but they ended up saying part of the reason he got fired is because some of the players did not like him. And you were able to tell. You could tell. And Kako, apparently, I was listening to Wardy NHL and Statboy Stevens Ranger Review. If you don't know them, go check out Wardy and go follow Statboy Steven on Twitter. Great guys there. And they were talking, and Statboy Steven was saying that on a Finnish podcast, Kaga was openly bashing Quinn. It just shows that these young guys were not thriving under Quinn, and I thought it was pretty obvious from the jump that the young guys weren't thriving under him. You look at how any other team develops their young guys. They do not develop them this stupid way that the Rangers have. They just don't. You need a guy that's going to let them go out there, give them the ice time that they need, and let them play. Otherwise, there's no point of this. There's no point of this entire rebuild thing if you're just not going to accommodate the young guys. And even some of the veteran guys did not like Quinn. You kind of got this vibe with Zibanejad in the exit meeting, interview, whatever you want to call it, that he didn't like Quinn. You kind of got this vibe. He didn't answer the second part of the question that was asked about David Quinn. I don't remember what it was exactly, but he didn't end up answering that question because you could tell that he just didn't want to talk shit about David Quinn. And I was tired of his bullshit. Every contradiction he'd make. Kravtsov's not a fourth line guy, he says. Throws him on the fourth line literally the next game. He shuffled the lines too much, would hold players way too accountable for a rebuilding team. Anytime someone made a small mistake, a small little penalty, even if it saved the goal, they're getting benched for the rest of the game. It made no sense, his coaching style, and I hated it. And originally, his coaching style was fast, physical, relentless. Those were the words that he talked about during his opening conference when coming to the Rangers. We saw none of that, and we saw it get worse and worse as the years go on. Where this past year, it was all about being a defensive first team and having the biggest erection for defense. No, you don't want a guy like that. And that's where this is where phase one is, where you did the right thing by cleaning house, because David Oliver sucked as an offensive coach. Quinn sucked as a head coach. Greg Brown sucked as an assistant coach. And That's where you did the right thing. You did phase one where you clean house. Now it's about doing the next step and getting it right with who the assistant coaches are and who the head coach is. You have to put the right guys in place. We could celebrate this David Quinn firing all we want, but if they replace him with a guy like John Tortorella or Mike Babcock, that's not an upgrade. You're not doing yourself any favor, and that's where I fear that the coaching change is going to be. I really do fear that they're looking at, hey, John Tortorella, we could bring him back because of what we did in 2012. We could bring him back and have a guy like that be our head coach. Or, hey, Mike Babcock, maybe he's a good coach. No, do not bring in any guys like that. Don't bring in a guy that's going to play a defensive first system. That's not how we are built to play. Back when we were on cup runs, sure. You want to bring in a coach like that? Sure. When you have older guys like Callahan, Dubinsky, when you have, hell, even Gaborik, I mean, you would want that guy to be scoring more goals. But even then, sure, that's when you had a guy like Tortorella. When you have guys like Brad Richards, when you have all these older guys, yeah, then fine. Go ahead and bring in a coach like that. But right now, with the way the team is, you need a guy that is going to let them play a fast game, let them play the way that they need to, and not hold them accountable the way Quinn did, because it was just stupid that any little mistake a player would make, they just got benched or yelled at. And it was just unfair. Julian Gauthier, he would make a little mistake during a game. He'd get 10 minutes of ice time at most, and then he's a healthy scratch the next game. No. It's time to get a guy like Gerard Gallant, or Gerard Gallant, however you pronounce his first name. I hear it both ways. I just call him Gerard Gallant. I don't care. You need a guy like Rod Brindamore if he hits the open market. I highly doubt that. I don't see a way the Canes let go of Rod Brindamore. But if they do, there's no way you pass up a guy like that. Who else is... You get a guy that's going to let them play a fast, offensive, just pain-in-the-ass play like that. Hell, even like the Ottawa Senators have towards the end, they played that kind of fast, physical, relentless game that Quinn talked about playing when he first came in here, which we never even ended up seeing at all. But Ottawa, honestly, it's became a pain in the ass to play for teams in that North Division over the past few games, and they ended up heating up starting in February. And they're a pain in the ass team because they're young and fast. You need a coach that's going to play or have your team play just like that. I'm just so pumped that this finally happened. I'm so pumped because all year I've been crying for it, and all year I've been saying that he's just not the guy. You just saw the glaring holes in his coaching style. You just saw it. The way the young guys played under him. Give me a break that they were thriving. I don't understand where this whole narrative is coming from that, oh, we saw Kakko take a leap from last year to this year. That's just him getting an extra year in the NHL. Of course he's going to play better in his second year in the NHL. Of course he is. Of course he is. Like, come on. It had nothing to do with David Quinn's coaching. I'm telling you it did not. And assuming we hire the right guy, you're going to see a way bigger step from him. You're going to see bigger steps from Lafreniere. You're going to see bigger steps from all of them. Having a guy like Gallant come in would be huge. You see what they did with William Karlsson? Who the hell was that guy? Who the hell was that guy in Columbus when they got him? And now look at him. Look at William Karlsson. Come on. Let's go. Bring me Gallant. Bring me a coach like that who is not going to just want to sit back, play defense, throw your hands up, play the trap, do any of that bullshit. Let's go. Give me Gallant's coaching style. You look at the way Vegas played in that Stanley Cup final, crashing the net, playing fast, being a pain in the ass team to play because of how fast they played. You need that. You need that coaching style, and you need that for your team. And To me, it's obvious that that's the right decision. We'll see if the Rangers make that decision. Please, for the love of God, also do not make Knobloch the coach. As fun of a story as it was, as great as the team did when he was here, I don't see him being the solution as the coach. You need a guy with experience. That's just how it is. That's just how it is. You need a guy with experience that's going to not have us play so defensive, though. And the prime examples of that, Rod Brind'Amour. You look at what he's done with Svechnikov, Sebastian Aho. You look at the way that team has developed. If Rod Brind'Amour is available, you give him the blank check. I don't care how much you pay him. You give him a stupid amount of money. You just give him as much money as you have to get him, because he is the clear and obvious guy with Gallant. And I honestly don't know, other than those two, if there's anyone else I'd really be interested in the Rangers hiring. I really don't know if there is. I don't think even anyone that is currently coaching any of the playoff teams. I'd have to think to myself. I'm pulling up on my phone to see. I mean, yeah, any of these playoff teams, if they let go of their coach, unless for some stupid reason Toronto gets swept and Sheldon Keefe's on the open market, unless you have a guy like that available, other than him and Brind'Amour, and then and Quenneville, I guess he's not getting fired. Just none of those guys are going, so it doesn't matter. The only reason Brind'Amour might is because his contract's up, and if you could get a guy like Brind'Amour, then perfect fit. But again, that's just not going to happen. So to me, it's a one-man show. Do not mess it up, Rangers. Get Gallant. And let's just not go through this bullshit again. Let's not get a defensive first coach. Just hire the right guy. Please, for the love of God, hire the right guy. And I'm so scared they're going to mess it up. I'm truly scared. Let's get to Twitter for questions. But before we do that, Fade Grips. If you want grips on your controller like this, or if you want cases for your controller, go ahead and go to Fade Grips. Use code Python for 20% off. You could also grab some hoodies, some snapbacks, some shirts, whatever else you want from Fade Grips. And also, while you're down there, go ahead and follow me on Twitter to be part of the interaction of questions that I do ask on Twitter, because I still do have that final video I was talking about planned. It's just a matter of me getting it done at some point, and it's going to be just a whole recap of and just what we're going to do in the offseason. Although with all these firings, it's just going to make things more crazy with that video. But go ahead and do that. And then also leave a like and subscribe, turn the notification bell on, do all of that stuff. Let's get to Twitter now. Not Morgan Milton. Morgan, thank you for sending in your thoughts or questions also, guys. You're asking my thoughts on Torts, Knobloch, Messier, Gallant, etc. Tortorella, no, because he has a big boner for defense. And you saw with Columbus what he's done. You look at Patrick Laine, he's pissed. He wants nothing to do with the organization right now. He's not saying it openly, but you could tell he doesn't want anything to do with it. Knobloch, like I said, cool story. I wouldn't mind him, honestly, over Tortorella or Mike Babcock, and then even Mark Messier, which we'll get into in a second. But Knobloch, it was a great story, and the way the team thrived under him, I do like the way they played under him, and maybe there's something with him. Maybe there's something there, but I don't know if he's necessarily going to be this great guy going forward long term. I think it was kind of more of a thing that, hey, we don't know how Chris Knobloch's coaching style is, so how the hell are we supposed to beat this? So that kind of had to do with that. Messier has literally no experience in hockey at all except for being a player. Keep him away from the organization, please, unless you're hiring him to groom him to be a future president or something. Unless you're grooming him for president or GM, keep him away from the organization because he has no experience at all. None at all. And then Glenn, like I said, all video, perfect guy. You look at his coaching style, and you just look at the way players like William Karlsson have thrived under him. How could you not want a guy like that? How could you not want a guy like that on your team or coaching your team? New York Style 24, thank you for sending in the question. Says, what's next for this team coaching wise? Gallant or die. That's what I'm living by, and it's not even close. It's not even close to me that he is the guy, and anyone else except for maybe Knobloch, like I said. I wouldn't be particularly a huge fan of Knobloch being the guy, but I would be a lot more comfortable with him than Babcock, Tortorella, Claude Julien, any of those guys. I'm seeing Ranger fans want some of those guys. Nope. No thanks. No thanks. It's only going to lead to more problems. It's only going to lead to more problems and not enough good. So hopefully we make the right decision at coaching. But I hope you guys did enjoy this video. If you did, leave a like, subscribe if you are new. Let me know your thoughts and opinions on the David Quinn firing, who you want the next head coach to be. Let me know all of that in the comment section. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.